Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing fine. Today I am going to explain the poem A Nocturnal upon St. Lucy's Day by Donne. If you have not checked my previous explanations of Donne's poem, I will give the links in the description box below. So without further delay, let us begin the video. Before delving into the poem, let us consider the context of the poem. Look at the title, A Nocturnal upon St. Lucy's Day. A nocturnal is a poem of the night. This is an appropriate form to describe the feelings of love with whom the poet is very closely attached. St. Lucy's Day is the day of winter solstice, that is December the 13th. According to the Julian calendar, this is the shortest day of the year. Hence, it is the darkest day. Lucy is a cognate of Latin lux, which means light. If we look from that point of view, the title is very ironical. It is a nocturnal, a poem of the night on St. Lucy's Day. St. Lucy was killed as a part of Diocletianic persecution of the Christians. It is said that she was tortured to confess her Christianity, and gouging her eyes out was a method of torture. Now, Lucy is associated with light and vision. There is another myth associated with Lucy that she herself gouged her own eyes out in order to escape the admiration of a man who admired the eyes of Lucy. There is not much description found when this poem is written. The scholars believe that it was written sometime in 1617. Now the 1617, this year was very significant year for Donne's life for several reasons. So the reasons are, number one, Donne's wife and More died in this year. Donne's daughter Lucy also died in this year. And Lucy, the Countess of Bedford, Donne's patroness, whom we have discussed in Twickenham's Garden, she also fell sick, seriously sick. All these events together gave the poet a sense of grief and sadness, and the poem could be the result of that. Let us begin the poem. The first stanza goes like this. It's the year's midnight, and it is the days, Lucy's, who scarce even hours herself unmasks. The sun is spent, and now his flasks send forth light sweeps, no constant rays. The world's whole sap is sunk, the general balm, the hypochondriac earth had drunk. Whither, as to the bed's feet, life is shrunk, dead and interred, yet all these seem to laugh compared with me, who am their epitaph. Here, the poet locates himself temporarily at the darkest time of the year, that is the midnight of the year. This is also the midnight, hence the darkest hour of the shortest day of the year. In this very first line, Donne uses ellipsis and he omits the second use of the word midnight. Here, it conveys the sense of loss because the noun itself is absent in this line. So, in this stanza, Donne says that this is the time of the year which is the darkest, and Lucy, hence the light, unmasks herself for 7 hours. Lucy is associated with light, and when Lucy unmasks herself, that time light sheds. So, and this time of the year, Lucy unmasks herself for the very minimum amount of time. Here we have to see the frequent use of sibilant, who scarce 7 hours herself unmasks. The sun is spent, and now his flask send forth light squibs no constant rays. So this frequent use of sibilant can convey the bitterness of the poet. Out of bitterness, the poet spits out the words and the references here. This absence is conveyed by the pathetic fallacy of night, when light is missing. This poem may be regarded as a commentary on the loss of faith by the loss of the loved one. The poet maybe wants to give the impression that he has lost someone he loves, and hence he has lost the faith in God. In that sense, Christ, who is the light of the world, is symbolically overshadowed by the grief, the darkness of grief. The frequent use of the sibilant sound may represent the sound of a serpent who is lurking in the Garden of Eden and who brings distrust and temptation among the mankind. Donne here personifies the sun, and the sun is spent. That means the sun has lost its energy and vitality. And with the absence of sun, all that is remains are the light squibs, that is the stars. And the light squibs, the sense is that throughout the day, the sun has filled light in the stars. The squibs can have another meaning also. Squibs is a kind of military device to carry gunpowder. And this gunpowder is used for a musket to be filled. Squibs is an Elizabethan term associated with the half-charging. And also it could be associated with the fireworks. Just like the half-charging or the fireworks do not provide enough light, that is no constant rays, similarly the stars of the night do not provide the light, the constant light. There is continuous darkness as the sun is absent or the sun has lost its energy. Donne presents again the world as devoid of energy. The word energy here is associated with sap. The sap of the world has sunk underneath and the world has lost its vitality. The world has drunk its life-giving balm. Balm is a lotion of which has healing capacity. So Donne here may be referring to the healing quality of the earth's sap. Essentially, the life of the earth has withered away completely. So the earth's sap has sunk beneath the ground and the earth is now dry. The word hydroptic is also very important to note here. Hydroptic is someone who is suffering from dropsy. This is actually a medical condition when the water is accumulated underneath the skin. Maybe Donne wants to convey the sense that the world is suffering from a dropsy-like condition where the water, the life-giving sap, is restored underneath the world. And that means that the world is in a condition of a disease. The world is not in a vital condition. If we look at the word wither, that is an adverb that says the place where the life has gone. Donne is wondering where the life has gone. But here Donne may be playing with the homophonic sound wither, which means to become dry or to fade away. He says that life has gone to the bed's feet. So here he may be referring to the flower bed where the life went into the root of the flower bed. Or this could be a more better interpretation if we say that the life went to the foot of the bed. During the Elizabethan and the Jacobean period, people used to believe that life leaves the body descending through the physical form. So life on a deathbed has descended to the foot. Donne here wonders where the life is, so that is at the foot of the bed. Life is leaving the body. Donne here in this stanza, at the end of this stanza, establishes the fact that the world is dead. But all these dead things in the world mocks him, because he is more dead than all these dead things. He is the epitaph of the dead things. So in this stanza, the word epitaph is placed at the very end, which denotes the finality of death. Let us move on to the next stanza. Study me then, who you shall lovers be, at the next world, that is, at the next spring. For I am every dead thing, in whom love wrought new alchemy. For his art did express a quintessence, even from nothingness, from dull privations and lean emptiness. He ruined me, and I am pre-begot, of absence, darkness, death, things which are not. In this stanza at the very beginning, we see an imperative. Donne tells everyone who wishes to love in their lifetime to study him, because he is an example of what love can do to a person. So there must be a sign of warning in his imperative to study him. He says that all the lovers should study him, but not in this world, but in the next world. Here maybe Donne is taking up the conceit of death in the second stanza also. In this first stanza, there was the death and all the dead things, and in the second stanza, he refers to another world that could be the afterlife. So everyone can study him only in his afterlife, and it is very pathetically associated with at the next spring. The poetic voice, the sense could be that the poetic voice is so much associated with all that is nothing that he feels that the season of life, that is the spring, is another life altogether. He here reinforces the idea that he is the representative of all the dead things. He is all the dead things. Here we have that Donne has developed one conceit of an alchemist. Love has been personified here, and love is working as an alchemist. So what did love do to the poet? Love made the poet into the very essence of nothingness. He transformed the poet into quintessence. Quintessence is the fabled fifth element, which is associated to the excelsior of eternal life. But here, Donne has inverted the idea. The personified love as an alchemist made him into nothingness. He transformed him into quintessence, and which is the reverse whole of the alchemist. The personified love had made Donne into everything that is nothing. Dull privations, lean emptiness. He has ruined him and re-begot him. That means love has broken the poetic voice and remade him into something that is nothing. So there we have a paradox. The paradox is that the re-emergence into life as nothing. The word re-begot could have biblical connotation. It could refer the book of Genesis, where it is described that the world was a void and there was the complete nothingness. And God dispels this nothingness and created life inside it. But love, the personified love here, as an alchemist, took that nothingness of that world at the very first stage of time, and created the poetic voice, remade the poetic voice using that nothingness, made the poetic voice a representative of the nothingness. Here we have an asymptotic list of all the things that represents death and nothingness and emptiness. That is absence, darkness and death. The hard consonant sounds can show the excess of this very nothingness. Let us move on to the third stanza. All others from all things draw all that's good, life, soul, form, spirit, whence they being have, I, by love's limback, am the grave of all that's nothing. Of the flood have we too wept, and so drowned the whole world. Us too, oft did we grow, to be two chaoses, when we did show care to aught else. And often absences withdrew our souls and made us carcasses. In this stanza, the poet at the very beginning compares himself with all the other people in the world. All the other people in the world are created, are made with all the good things. The poet has given a list here: life, soul, form, spirit. But the poet is the representative of the opposite. He is made of all the things that lacks all the good things. He is the nothingness. Here, the conceit of love as an alchemist is developed further with the word limbeck. Limbeck is actually one of the devices of distillation used in alchemy. The poet here says that love, the personified love, used him as a limbeck and made him the essence of nothingness. This is the same concept he is repeating over and over again. And this nothingness is presented hyperbolically, that the poetic voice is the grave of all that is nothing. The grave already denotes death, and the grave of all that is nothing, that is an exaggerated way to say that the poetic voice's presence in this world is associated with nothingness. Donne here now introduces two lovers. He introduces the two lovers as the microcosm of the world. The two lovers are the world to each other. This is a concept that is developed in the poem The Good Morn. The two lovers are the microcosm of the world, and when they weep, they flood the entire world. This could be a reference to the Petrarchan imagery of the heightened emotions have some effect on the world. Again, the reference to the word flood could be the biblical reference in the second stanza. So when the two lovers cry, they flood the entire world because they are the microcosm of the entire world. These two lovers, they did not pay any attention to anyone in this world. They are solely focused on one another. And when they focused on anything else other than each other, they are driven mad by jealousy. They become two forces. They are so conjoined with one another that their souls are unified. And if they are separated from one another, that means their souls are also separated and their bodies become carcasses. Their bodies become dead. So the absence of one lover could cause a death-like experience to the other lover. Let us look at the fourth stanza. But I am by her death, which ward wrongs her. Of the first nothing, the excelsior grown. Were I a man, that I were one, I needs must know, I should prefer. If I were any beast, some ends, some means, ya plant, ya stone detest. And love, All, some properties invest. If I, an ordinary nothing where, as shadows, a light and body must be here. The poet now says the reason of his all the suffering, why he is comparing himself with the essence of nothingness, or why he is saying over and over again that his existence means nothing. His lover is dead. He says that the word wrongs her, like the suffering the poetic voice is going through, cannot be explained by the words. Here, the poet brings into the conceits of alchemist and the biblical concept and conjoins together. He says that of the first nothingness, the essence is grown. The first nothingness could be the reference to the Augustan creation myth, when it is said, where it is said that the creation happened in God's mind. Prior to the creation, there was that nothingness. And out of that nothingness, the poet's suffering is grown. The poet now considered his own being, whether he is a man or he is something else. So he is very much aware that he is a man, but he prefers that he should be some beast or some kind of plant or stones. Because all the things in the world, maybe it is a beast or it is plant or stones, they all have some kind of feeling, some kind of substance to them, whereas the poetic voice doesn't feel anything. The poetic voice doesn't have any substance. So he has, when all the other things in the world have some properties invest, the poetic voice is nothing. The poetic voice is just like, an absence like presence. But he compares his nothingness with the other ordinary nothingness. Here he brings the conceit of a shadow. A shadow is the representative of nothingness. But to have a shadow, that means there should be the presence of light and there should be a presence of a body. But his nothingness is the opposite of this shadow, the ordinary nothingness. His nothingness has no substance. Let us move on to the final stanza. But I am none, nor will my sun renew. You lovers, for those sake the lesser sun, at this time through the goat is run, to fetch new lust, and give it to you. Enjoy your summer all. Since she enjoys her long night's festival, let me prepare towards her, and let me call this hour her vigil, and her eve, since this both years and the day's deep midnight is. The poetic voice says again, reinforces the idea yet again that he is nothing, he is none. And he says that his sun will not renew. This could be a reference back to the second stanza, next spring. His sun will not renew, his life will not have any vitality. He cannot feel any seasonal change. Everything seems to be the same for him. His sun will not renew. It could be another homophonic pun of the word sun. So Donne lost his 5 children before they reached adulthood. And the lover is also dead, so he cannot have another son. So he can say that his sun will not renew. And the word son could also refer to the Son of God. With the loss of his lover, the poetic voice has lost his faith in the Son of God. The lesser sun appears to be the actual sun, which rises every day. This is in contrast to the figurative sun of the poetic voice's love. The most powerful celestial force, that is sun, that is inferior to the poetic voice's love. Hence, the poetic voice is referring to the actual sun as lesser sun. The goat is a reference to Capricorn, a zodiac sign where the sun enters on the day December 12th, a day before the shortest night of the year. Under the Capricorn, the days will lengthen and that will bring back the vitality of the world. The poetic voice presents the vitality with the word lust for lovers. He is saying that all the lovers, they love for their physical need, for their lust. There could be some melancholic tone. This could be a reference to something that the poetic voice could never enjoy. It could be another reference that all the other lovers are merely just the lesser lovers because they are driven by the physical attraction only. When the poetic voice says enjoys, that tone becomes certainly sardonic because the poetic voice has lost his own lover. At the end of the poem, Donne refers to some religious observance with the words like eve, vigil, prayer. So he wants to offer some kind of worship towards her beloved because beloved is a person who is canonized by his love. So he is proposing his vigil to his lost love. The poetic voice is worshipping his lost love, and the time is also very apt. This is the shortest day of the year and the longest night, the darkest time. Darkness here refers to grief. At the last line, we see that there is a cyclical reference to the first stanza. The cyclical reference could mean that the unending going on of the suffering of the poetic voice. The poetic voice will keep on feeling that he is the representative of nothing again and again all the time. So let us look at the structure of the poem also. The poem has 5 stanzas with 9 lines in each stanza. The rhyme scheme is ABBA, CCC, DD. The structure of the poem is to some extent regular, and this regularity of the structure may refer to the monotonous nature of the poet's suffering. The poet is suffering for eternity, for the perpetuity. I hope this video has helped you to prepare this poem better. I will see you in my next video. Keep an eye on my channel and give this video a big thumbs up. Thank you. Bye-bye.